Hello guys. Sorry for not making videos for a while now. But this is not gonna be a what if video. In this case, it's going to be just me spawning out some ideas because, god damn, I've really gotten some good ideas for what ifs lately. So, yeah, for now, I'm just gonna be saying it out loud. I'm not gonna be making the what if about Izuku being that of the, being that of the Prince of Quincy's and being in Damachi. I recently started to dislike the idea lately, and yeah. So, but I also had a new idea, specifically maybe about Izuku, maybe getting reincarnated in the world of Infinite Stratos. More specifically, gaining the, or at least being the creator of Gundams there. More specifically, the Gundams are just going to be like, I guess you could say, a ground counterpart for IS, but not being super opposite to the point that that only male pilots can wield Gundams or something like that. But I also am planning to maybe make another what if, specifically about maybe Izuku being in Warhammer. In this case, maybe becoming like I guess maybe becoming the second, or should I say the missing Primarchs, either the second or the 18th. Which, if you don't know, there were supposed to be 20 Primarchs in the in the Imperium, but two were missing, or at least redacted. Some say that they were killed, some say that they became traitor, or something worse. So they basically erased them out of the history books. So they don't really know their exact names, their legions, or any of that sort. So I may be planning to maybe make that as a what if. Another what if that I'm also maybe planning to make is that of it's not really like a what if. It's more like just a simple, fanfic. In this case, somebody that's being reincarnated into the world of, well, it's a certain fanfic that I absolutely love. Specifically, that of the, I guess you could say novel. Technically, it isn't a novel, but still, the novel known as the mob character shouldn't have a yandere harem. Because, god damn, I love it. I used to, read it all the time during my time in, during senior high, and I absolutely love it. I especially love the idea of the arcana, which are basically just, well, by the name you thought maybe based off tarot cards. No, it's more like Persona, as in the Persona series from Shin Megami Tensei, where they basically have powers based on certain not really historical, but more like mythological figures, like that of heroes like Siegfried, or gods like, Thor. So, I recently got the idea of maybe making, a what if about it, where the character is able to use the powers of historical figures instead. Or at least, using arcanas that are based off historical figures instead of the typical, mythological figures in this specific novel, which I recently started planning on making the idea. I already picked a few historical historical figures that I picked. One of them is that of Simbo Haiha, and which is my profile pick. Well, soon to be profile pick. I'm still trying to fix a bit of things there, but more or less, I absolutely love the idea currently. I also recently gotten another idea, being that of another idea that I recently gotten was that of an old IS what if. Back before I basically started this channel. To be more specific, I originally had an old channel back in the day that I was planning to maybe make a what if about Infinite Stratos, or at least used to. It was basically just a mix of Fate Grand Order and and the Infinite Stratos, where somebody has the abilities to summon heroic spirits as a magecraft type thing, or in this case, a um a god damn it, my throat, a true magic. Well, that actually sounds familiar. Yeah, that was actually the inspiration for that of Fate Remnant Collide, or at least somewhat. To be more specific, originally the IS idea actually came from the first ever idea that I had for a one of my more ambitious what ifs. In this case, um the what if Izuku had the powers to summon heroic spirits and is in the world of Kill la Kill, but it's not going to be that long, that long of a title, because at the time there was still a limit to how long my titles are, or at least how long the name of the video is going to be. So I'm probably gonna shorten it, but it's more, yeah, it's just kind of like that concept, which I recently started going back into as well. Specifically because I recently started getting the idea of maybe the UN in the IS world finding out about Magecraft and the supernatural, and deciding to get some help from the Mages Association, creating a task force known as Task Force Armageddon, and a specific branch, which is basically the Black Ops of this team, or at least of that organization, is called Team Ragnarok, a team that specializes in, I guess you could say, assassinations, covert operations, and destruction of those that are considered as high tier threats towards humanity. So essentially, fake Grand Order, but except without the whole, one person, or in this case, without the whole, incineration of humanity thing. God damn it. I also have a few other ideas as well. Another idea that I also had is that of the typical, fantasy, recent, fantasy anime thing, where some guy gets betrayed, blah blah blah, gets overpowered powers, blah blah blah. But I gotten the idea of, what if that character, that one that got betrayed by, per se, the hero's party, actually did leave for the rest of his life, basically ignoring everything and not even wanting to deal with the hero's bullshit, to the point that that several years go by and the hero, now disgraced and basically, got his comeuppance, as in his just desserts, is basically living out his days in solitude, where he has his family, or in this case daughters, basically wanting to redeem their past sins, or at least their father's sins. So they try to seek out the betrayed person, which is the catalyst for the whole downfall of the hero's party. I'm still tweaking with the ideas, but the current idea is the original, betrayed person, or I guess you could say party member, is that of a hero that represents, the healing class, or the cleric class, or whatever, that became a necromancer, or I guess you could say a warlock? I'm more or less basing it off a bit of D&D and stuff. So, yeah. Another idea I recently gotten is that of a... Oh yeah, now I remember. You know about Ruby, right? Well, imagine Ruby, but there was not only just two brother gods. In this case, I was thinking of saying the original gods of Remnant, which I'll just say that the original version of Remnant is actually been altered. God damn it, guys! It's actually been, I guess you could say, changed by the brother gods. Essentially, the brother gods are basically just the Lucifer analogy, but except if Lucifer won. Or I guess you could say it's more like the demiurge idea, as in Yaldabaoth, from Gnostic belief. Where the two brother gods essentially betrayed the original gods, or at least a pantheon of gods, and basically destroyed the world and basically remade it into their own. basically making the people believe that they are the original gods, or at least the ones that are the only gods in this case. And the original gods, now imprisoned, now seek to take revenge, and that revenge takes the form of, I guess you could say, three different people. In this case, you know how Ozma and Salem were the only ones cursed? Well, I think maybe a third person should be cursed. Let's foresee like Salem that worked with someone, in this case a prince, to basically betray the brother gods as he accepts. After that plan failed, because it was a bad idea to ever fight a god, or at least you know a I guess you say in this AU a somewhat god, kind of, as they were both cursed. Just like in canon, where the Salem becomes immortal, then after that becomes a Grim. I guess you could say more like a controller of Grim, but more or less, yeah. But in this case, for our boy the Prince, he would be turned into a mortal and would be sent to, I guess you could say, a underground fortress, as well as witnessing the destruction of his kingdom, leading to him to basically be depressed and, well, suicidal to say the least. He basically just wants to kill himself. Or just wants to seek to just end it all at this point. But because of his immortality, he can't really. Until he gets visited by one of the gods and would accept the idea of becoming one of his minions to basically take revenge on the brother gods. So yeah, that is the idea for that series, which I'm just gonna be calling it just Golden Prince for now, or Golden Immortal, because because at the time I was thinking maybe his blood after he became immortal is golden, like like golden ichor in the Greek mythology. So yeah, those are some interesting ideas I recently gotten. So yeah, anyway, later on I'm going to be making another episode of Fate Remnant Collide. So be ready for that, guys. So yeah, bye bye.